All right. So Andrew's question, guys, and this will take some training. This might take us all the way to the end of the Hump Day Hangout today. So Bradley, long time no see. Hope you're well. So I have a concrete website client. Guys, this is going to fall right into what you see a bunch of Wikipedia tabs open in my browser here, and there's a reason for that. We're going to talk about how to identify structure, and I'm going to give a specific example on how I would structure this site. With the caveat that, as I say it to all of our mastermind members, I can give you the framework, but every single time you go to apply this type of a framework to a new industry, a different industry, you're going to have to play around with the configuration of that framework. Like, in other words, because guys, I've been testing for 2 years in the tree service industry, and I'm still finding ways to improve it. And so I can give you the kind of framework as how I would apply the methods that my method and what I've been teaching to this type of a project, but it will require some testing to figure out what is the best performing. And that would become the control. Do you understand? Like my current control is, which is really this structure here, right? It's this structure here. By the way, just so you guys know, I was showing you how poorly optimized the Louisville Felling Pro pages were, right? Because it was one of my first test sites or test when I first started testing this kind of structure. If we go back to the SEO Pro extension, as I showed you guys, there's 14 H1s on this Louisville page. Well, look at this one, right? We'll just go click on this one. This one is optimized to perfection. Why is there two H1s? Well, because there's two versions of a high-level site. There's the desktop version and the mobile version. It's not a responsive site. There's two separate versions. So there's two H1s because there's an H1 for the desktop and an H1 for the mobile. But if you look at the hierarchy, the HTML hierarchy, the structure, the page structure, HTML markup structure of this page, it is 100% perfect. So this is what I was talking about. That structure. This is a more kind of relevant structure. But to get back to the question, so I have a concrete website client who only wants driveways offered on his site. He doesn't take jobs for patios, walkways, etc., and doesn't want to refer them out. Given this, would you still use the same local site structure, which is having separate service pages and separate location pages, instead of service plus location and times however many services times however many locations? So remember, like if it's a 4x5, so 4 services and 5 locations under traditional SEO, everybody would have 20 pages on their site minimum, because it would be service 1, city 1, service 1, city 2, service 1, city 3, and then service 2, city 1, service 2, city 2, service 2, city 3, right? So you would be service times city for every fucking service times every city. And that's how you get all that redundancy, bloat. It creates crawl resistance. You need more links, all of that. Don't need that now. Okay, if you have separate service pages and then location pages optimized for topics and categories, you can rank the location page for all the search queries for all the services offered by that company. And that's what the question is. Okay, so he says, would you still use the same local site structure? It just seems weird to have a location page targeting concrete contractor plus location. Because why does he say concrete contractor? Because that's the top level Google business category. Andrew has obviously seen or heard some of my training before. So he's referencing the top level Google business category in the SEO title here. So location page targeting concrete contractor plus location if he only offers one service. That being said, I'm concerned that if I target concrete driveway contractor plus location for each location page, that those would be considered doorway pages to Google and hurt performance. Could you use your SEO Jedi insights on this? I appreciate you. So here's what I brought up. Okay, I spent 15 or 20 minutes preparing for that question today. We have top-level Google business categories that are relevant to that type of a contractor, that type of a business would be concrete contractor, which would be the most relevant. But then there's also paving contractor and asphalt contractor. If they're a concrete contractor only and they don't do asphalt, then they could omit that. There's also concrete paving, and there's also concrete pavers, which are like, blocks that are made out of concrete. So like stamped concrete pavers and things like that. So paving contractor might also be relevant as an additional category. And there's a reason why I'm referencing these, because as Andrew was saying in his question, he doesn't want to optimize for concrete contractor, which is the top level category term, Google business category. And an example of that would be, let's just see, I thought I had a map image pulled open here, but if I just type in concrete driveway, just to kind of demonstrate this, concrete driveways, I'm in Auburn, Pennsylvania right now. So I'm going to type in Auburn, Pennsylvania. We go to maps. Look at the category, concrete contractor, concrete contractor. You'll see the additional categories pop here in just a minute. And so you'll see that some of them will have excavating contractor, some of them will have paving contractor, some will have asphalt contractor. So you'll see that I was looking in a different city earlier, so I saw some more diversity in their GB categories. But why I bring that up is because if you're going to be optimizing for the categories, it's good to know what are the related categories too. And then you do the topic research. It's easy to determine Google business categories because you just go search for the products or services that the company provides in various areas, and you can see what their common categories are. That's easy to get. Topic research is a little bit harder because you got to go to Google and search for it. So here are the different entities that are related to that specific business, which is concrete. So let's just show you how I do it. If I go to concrete, I search I search Google for terms related to the industry, and I append Wikipedia to the search, because what this does is it sorts Wikipedia entities by relevance based upon the search query, according to Google, not Wikipedia. This is according to Google. That's what we want to know. How does Google understand these entities related to the search query that I'm searching for, right? So concrete Wikipedia pulls up this concrete, okay? Concrete, it talks about that. Okay, so that's got its own specific entity. So I listed that. Next, we're going to look at driveway. If we look up, by the way, the Google business category is concrete contractor. That's concrete and contractor, but contractor has multiple meanings depending on which context it is used. In the context we would be using it as a concrete contractor, it would be general contractor. So it's actually concrete and general contractor combined to create concrete contractor. Do you understand? That was two separate entities that were combined to create one category, which we can do that, by the way. We can also create one topic or category out of multiple entities. And so I'm going to explain how to do that. But so just so you guys understand, a concrete contractor is concrete and general contractor combined to create concrete contractor. So then the next is driveway. A driveway has its own Wikipedia entity. Okay. So I listed that here as well. Driveway right there. Right there. So a concrete driveway contractor would be a combination of all three of those entities. All right. Then paving has its own. Well, by the way, paving has multiple meanings. Again, paving Wikipedia. You see this? So if we click on paving, paving redirects to pavement. Pavement has multiple meanings depending on which context it is used. In the context in which we are talking about, it would be road surface. And so if we click on road surface, you can see that road surface in British English, or pavement in North American English, is the durable surface material laid down on an area intended to sustain vehicular or foot traffic, etc. It talks about the different types of pavement in construction, which can be paving materials include asphalt, concrete, stones, cobblestones, sets, artificial stones, bricks, tiles, etc. So you guys understand that road surface and pavement are synonymous with each other. And so a paving redirects to pavement, and pavement has multiple meanings in which, depending on which context it is used. In this context, it is road surface, but you can use the term pavement because it is interchangeable with road surface. Do you understand? So again, I'm listing this, guys, to show you the way that I do topic and category research, which is done manually the way I'm showing you now, so that I get an understanding of the entities that Google has associated with those categories, right? So that and by the way, look at the page structure of these pages, guys, and look at the internal linking. That can help you determine what you should be doing for your own site builds. If you model how the entities are associated with each other in Wikipedia, which is what Google's familiar with, because it trained its large language model in large part through Wikipedia, then it gives you kind of clues on how you should structure pages and internal linking to associate those pages with other pages on the site. So I like to study the Wikipedia entities for the terms related to the industries I'm working on or working in according to Google, and how they relate according to Google. And so it gives me clues on how to do internal linking, page structure, site structure, and internal linking, the three things that I feel are the most important in local search right now. So come back over here, and then we talk about the topic term then would be concrete driveways. So that would be in concrete and driveway combined. Okay, so that's the top level topic term. You're creating a topic out of two separate entities, concrete and driveway. You could, by the way, you can make the term plural. That's a close variant of the entity term. Whether it's singular or plural doesn't change the meaning of the entity. So concrete driveways is those two combined. So how would I optimize it? Well, guys, just so you know, in all of my SEO audits, I have in the on-page optimization section of my audits, which is the second section, because we always start with entity analysis first. Let me demonstrate this. We're going to go probably a little bit over. We always start with entity analysis because the starting point for all local SEO projects should be how well established is the entity. And if it's not well established, if Google doesn't have a good understanding of this local brand, then that should be the starting point. Reinforcing the local brand, establishing, helping build some authority and strength to the local brand, that specific location. That should always be step number one, because if that's not done properly, if the brand is polluted, the entity is polluted or ambiguated, then it makes all other SEO efforts more difficult. You need a hell of a lot more SEO signals, other signals, in order to overcome entity pollution or brand ambiguation. So we always start with entity analysis first, because if that's done poorly, it's going to make everything else harder to achieve results. So we always want to start there. But then the next thing is going to be the on-page optimization for the self-hosted website, because there's more of a correlation between how the GBP, excuse me, how the self-hosted site is optimized and how the GBP performs now than I've ever seen in my career. And I've been doing local SEO for 15 years now. I see more of a correlation with how the self-hosted site is optimized and how the GBP performs in map search than I've ever seen in my career. And that's not a joke. And so the page structure is next, or site on-page optimization for the self-hosted site. Then we get into on-page optimization for the GBP. And then lastly, it's off-page, which is just backlinks at this point. And then there's also signals, but that's separate and apart from these four main components that should be addressed and should be done well before you start sending CTR signals to anything. By the way, you should have those four elements done at least to a fairly decent level. Because, guys, some of you guys think that CTR signals is your be-all, end-all. I don't have to do any SEO work if I just send signals to this. Bullshit. Because you're going to blame the CTR apps for them not producing results. If you do these other four elements, these components, at least to a fairly decent level, it doesn't have to be done to perfection, but at least to a fairly decent level, then when you start to send signals to that project, that campaign, it will respond significantly better because the foundational elements are in place. It's when you try to, by the way, I'm not talking about any one of these things being more important than the other. They're all combined. They're all connected, guys. You can't just, if you have deficiencies in two of these areas, you can't overdo it. And you can't just try to make up for it in one area and overcome those deficiencies. You may still be able to overcome them, but it's going to be a lot more difficult. So why not balance out those four components, entity analysis on page for two assets and off page backlinks, essentially. If you get those things done at least to a fairly decent level, the campaign is positioned to respond so much better when you send signals to it. Do you understand? So anyways, coming back here to the page structure section, which is always the starting point for on-page optimization for me, okay? Here in my audits, I talk about this. This is the recommended format. We should be talking in semantic triplet terms with the document titles, page titles, right? SEO titles are document titles. And that is subject, object, predicate. Or in layman's terms, who you are, what you do, and where you do it. Three entity elements there. Brand entity, product or service entity, location entity. So as long as you're hitting those three things in the SEO or document title, right? Now Google has an understanding of what that page should be about through that statement because it's speaking in terms that the algorithm understands better. That's why I talk about topic and category optimization. And so here are the kind of recommended formats depending on which type of page it is. So coming back to his question, the recommended format then would be those. I just copied and pasted that there. So as an example, what I would do if I was doing a single location business that only wants to offer concrete driveways, I would have the homepage optimized for the brand first, then concrete driveways, and then the broadest regional area in which they perform those services. In other words, what is the broadest regional entity or location entity? It doesn't have to be a region. It could be a county, it could be a region, it could be an entire state, whatever. What is the broadest location entity that encompasses all of the areas within their service area? Okay, so I'm just using this as an example because I'm currently located in Auburn, Pennsylvania, and I just use this as a kind of a hypothetical brand. But so if this were my site, I would do concrete driveways as the SEO title. Auburn, Pennsylvania. This is for location page. Let's make sure we note that these are for location pages. Okay, I would have the homepage optimized for brand, concrete driveway or concrete driveway contractor or something like that, and then the broadest region. So if we go take a look at very quickly, and I know we're probably going to run out of time, but let me pull this up. We'll go to Auburn, PA, Wikipedia. Okay. So we take a look at this. Auburn, Pennsylvania is in, I don't know how to pronounce that. Schuylkill County, Pennsylvania. I probably butchered that. I'm quite sure I did. But let's just say that I was a concrete contractor that provided services in Schuylkill County. And I probably butchered that name, whatever the fuck this county name is. Okay. Then what I would do is I would see all these areas that are contained within that county. This is a ton of areas. By the way, you don't need to have location pages for all of these. But what I would do is I would on the homepage state Benner Construction LLC, concrete driveway contractor, Schuylkill County, Pennsylvania. That's how I would optimize. Then I would have a service page, one service. That's all they have, one service, concrete driveways. I would have a service page that would be optimized for concrete driveways or concrete driveway construction or something like that. And then Benner Construction LLC. I wouldn't say concrete driveway construction. Construction's in the brand though. I would just say concrete driveways, Benner Construction LLC. And then for location pages, because that's what you want to rank, not the service page and not really the home page. You want to rank the location pages. I would optimize that for this. Concrete driveways, we created our own topic out of 2 entities. Then Auburn, Pennsylvania, because I always want to reference the location entity the way that it's referenced in Wikipedia. Yes, you can use the abbreviation if you want. I prefer to spell it out, but you can use the abbreviation like Auburn, PA if you want it. And then I would put brand. Okay, so you can see supporting location pages. That's the naming format. Then in the H1, to get back to Andrew's original question, he thought it would be odd to target concrete contractor when all they want is driveways. That's why in the SEO title, the document title, I would put concrete driveways, where you created your own topic out of 2 separate entities. But because the appropriate Google business category is in top level primary category is concrete contractor, I would absolutely still reference that in the H1, which is why I have the H1 listed here as Auburn's, because we want to restate the location entity and the product or service entity or topic or category, but using variants. So instead of doing Auburn, Pennsylvania, I do Auburn's apostrophe S top concrete contractor. So you guys see, this is still hitting the top level topic and category terms as I've described in my teachings for the last few years. We're creating our own topic out of 2 separate entities, but then we're reinforcing the Google business, the top level category in the H1. So we're still satisfying that format. And then in the H2, one of the H2s, concrete driveway pavement services. So this is now a different, now we're pulling in the paving and pavement entity, which is also relevant to a concrete driveway contractor, right? Do you understand that I do all this research so that I can pull out the related entities according to Google searches that are relevant to this industry. And then I start working those entities into headings. I don't give a damn about the content, guys. It's about the headings and the images. Like, that's it. If you get those things right, you don't need the content, or very, very little, because Google understands what the page is about through the main optimization points: URL, SEO titles, headings and subheadings, and images, media. Does that make sense? And so concrete driveway pavement services, then what I would do here is I would then link to the driveway services page. And then I would have underneath this H2, H3s that would reference subservices that are probably, by the way, H3s, they don't need to have any content. They don't need a paragraph describing each H3. They just need to, and what do I mean? So I'm talking about like if they do stamped pavers as part of concrete driveway. I don't know that this company does, but just hypothetically, if they did stamped pavers, that could be an H3. The stamped pavers on the concrete driveways service page would be a heading that would then have content describing, so, a paragraph or 2 or whatever, describing that specific service, which is a subservice of the overall general concrete driveway service, right? But on the location page, you don't need content to reinforce that. All you have to do is list it as an H3, a mention. We do, these are the services that are provided under the concrete driveway services. So again, the location page would need very little content. Who the business is, how to contact them, and navigational elements that will take them to the product or service pages that thoroughly describe their products or services. That's all that page needs in order for it to rank. Hopefully that's clear.